You're watching the Play Pouch. Welcome back, everyone. We have a little news show for you this week, and my colleague Nick is going to take us through it. But hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing fine. If you like our shows, you know what to do. Please subscribe, like, and do all that good stuff. We have a Patreon channel, and if you choose to support us, that allows us to speak on YouTube a little bit more freely. So Nick, yes, why don't you take away with the news topics of this week?
Hi, you guys. So we're going to cover news from the last 7 days. I think maybe the first one might be slightly older, but because we didn't have a show last week due to illness, we're going to cover it this week. And we're going to start off with Sony's live service game that's named after a plane. I'm not sure why. Concord. So the reason why this is been breaking the news because it's a new low for our favourite genre, Pete, and that is the great live service model.
Oh, so great.
Now, we've spoken about the live service model more than once, so that part isn't the new part. But I remember saying to you when we were that they can't, somebody, they've got to stop this now. They must realize that 9 out of 10 of these games are falling apart in record time. And when I said record time, I thought we were talking 6 months, like Anthems and Skull and Bones, which is on its way out, and Kill the Justice League, which was January. So these are more or less on their way out. They'll be lucky to last a year. But this is breaking all kinds of new ground because this was pulled by Sony after 2 weeks, and they were forced to give, I believe it's something like 25,000 refunds. So that's how many games were sold, according to what I've read. It's about 25,000 copies. So they've had to issue refunds for these 25,000, and they've shut the game down. And probably it's not going to come back.
My heart bleeds. It honestly, dude, it's just like, when are they going to learn? They're not going to learn. They're just brain dead.
But this is what I mean. Is this finally the straw that broke the? It's such a disaster because we know that there's been a lot of bad games, but they must have at least got some. Like Anthem probably sold quite a lot. Granted, after people played it for probably a couple of hours, they had buyer's remorse, but they still probably made at least some initial purchase. This sold 25,000 copies. Then they've had to give refunds for all. Anthem they never give refunds for Anthem. So this is the all-time new low of a disaster.
Yeah. Well, I have literally zero sympathy. If you're going to spend this much money on a live service game, deathmatch style game, just so you can cash in on whatever you think it might be worth, then you deserve all you get. I really just don't care about these types of games.
8 years, Pete.
Is that how long it took to develop?
Yeah. So probably from concept to the original idea to the end product apparently was 8 years. And I was just thinking to myself, right, so it's not the developer's fault, it's the publishers, right? The developers are told what to do. You make this game. So imagine if you spent 8 years of your life, right? I mean, yeah, they got paid, so they made a living, but they spent 8 years of their life, probably worked a lot of hours to make this game, and it lasts 2 weeks.
I don't care. I honestly don't care. Developers don't really care, I'm assuming, because it's like, as you said, they got paid.
They got paid, but I mean, there must be some. I don't know. If it was me and I was one of these developers, I'd be like, what am I doing with my life? I mean, yeah, okay, I know. Okay, so I've earned a living, and that's important, I'm sure, but there's got to be a little bit of desire or something. No,
not for me anyway. And I don't know. Maybe the developers knew that they were developing a pile of shite, but like 8 years, really 8 years.
Yep.
I struggle to believe it took them 8 years to make this, but whatever.
Well, before we continue, big up to Coleman in the chat, who is watching. This is a live broadcast, everyone. So there is a chat room, and Cole's just saying, let's be honest here, Sony won't learn from this. They will go away and release the game again with a few tweaks and under a different name. Maybe.
Well, it's either that or they'll just cut their losses and walk away with their tail between their legs.
The last thing I'll say on this is that apparently that they were, and I use the term were because maybe with this they might, I don't know, get a brain, but they were meant to be releasing 4. And this is the first of 4 live service games over the next couple of years. So this is the first of 4 that Sony were going to be releasing.
Oh, that's going to happen now then.
Yeah, and surely this has got to be putting that to bed. If not, then Sony loves wasting money. Give me your money instead, and I'll waste it for you.
Yeah,
get much more out of it.
Give us your money.
So that was Concord. Not surprising. I guess just a surprising thing is just how quickly it was destroyed. They all fall in the end, most of them.
Yep.
Even Helldivers 2, which started off really well, even that's seen its numbers drop, so that might be on the way out as well, which initially was quite promising.
0 fucks given.
Yeah, I know. Now, the second thing is going to be more... I'm going to ask you about it because I have not played it. I've seen some reviews and the Metacritic... I keep calling it cricket. Metacritic has got it about 82, and the user score for Black Myth Wukong is 7.9. So that says to me is that it's a good game, but is it missing something that stops it from being 9's a board? No, everyone's giving it 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. If it's an 8, that says to me it's good. It's very good, but not maybe great. So you've played it, Pete. You tell me what you think.
Yeah, so I've left the first area. I'm in the second area, I think you can classify it as. It's weird, but I like weird. I embrace weird. I don't particularly like Chinese people.
Well, there goes the Chinese fan base.
There goes the Chinese fan base. Yeah, I mean, okay, no, I don't. I don't like the culture, right? But this, I tell you what, right? This story is really, really entrancing. It's really interesting, and whilst I am struggling to sort of get to grips with the story, the gameplay is really nice. The combat is really sort of fluid. It's a bit sort of janky in certain places where if you're running up to like a flower to sort of pick it or something like that, you have to be in the right spot to sort of gather it. You have to press right trigger, but when you press right trigger, in all other circumstances, you bring up a sort of a quick HUD to sort of do things. So it's a bit sort of like, well, couldn't you have just mapped that to a different button? Whatever. But yeah, the combat was okay, but it's a bit button mashy, and the whole sort of stances thing that you get introduced to only really sort of matters for the heavy attacks, not really for like the light attacks. So it's not like a completely different attack style, So that's okay. I mean, like, as I said, I'm really just like probably like 10% of the way in, so I assume there's going to be a lot more armors and abilities and skills and stuff. I find the skill trees a little bit disappointing so far. Again, a lot of it's locked off, so I can't really sort of speak about the latter end of these skill trees, but at the moment it's a bit sort of like really, and like a lot of sort of quality of life things are kind of locked behind some skill tree things, and you have to sort of pump 5 points into something for it to be sort of fairly decent.
Right.
Yeah, so it is still early days for me with this game, and it's not easy. It is definitely a Souls type formula.
I was about to ask you about that because some people are saying it is Dark Souls, but it's not as refined.
No, it's not as refined. No, it's not as polished or fluid. The levels are nice. But yeah, you can just feel like it's trying to be as good as Dark Souls, but it's not really. So yeah,
some of the boss designs. I mean, we're playing the video in the background. Some of the boss designs look amazing.
Oh, the boss designs are cool. And the graphics are cool. There's some issues with sort of like optimization and FPS stuff, especially on PC. But I mean, you can get it working fine. It just takes a few sort of like maybe an hour or so of tweaking to get it right.
Does it lack polish then? That's what it sounds like to me. Lacks some polish.
I wouldn't say it lacks polish. I would just say that we're used to better, and this is sort of like a few sort of steps down from that, but it's fine.
Did it need another 6 months in development? Would it?
No, not really. I mean, like, they can sort of patch these issues out, and I expect them to be quite honest, especially with like the gathering thing. But I mean, like having your stamina decrease when you're sprinting isn't something that a lot of people like. I know that Maximilian dude doesn't really like that. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like, it's fine. Hopefully they'll release some updates for it in the future or near future. But the story is sort of more intriguing than anything else, I think, and I'm willing to overlook a lot of shit for it, basically.
Well, I'll be looking at it when it comes on Xbox. Most likely, that's what I'll do. Even though I do have a PlayStation, I could, but I might probably wait for it, and it might appear on Game Pass. Maybe not right away, but it feels like it could.
Yeah.
Well, it has sold well. So it sold very well, not just well. It sold very well.
Yeah.
And like I say, the general consensus is, look, if your game's getting 8s more or less across the board, then you've got yourself a very good game. Let's not look at 8 and say, oh, that's just no, it's not. An 8 out of 10 means it's a bloody good game. It is.
Yeah.
And like I say, so it's getting that around. So maybe it'll be one of those things where the first game is where the studio makes their money, and then the second game, a little bit like Undead Labs' State of Decay that we'll talk about later, a little bit like that, whereas the first game is kind of like showing their potential, and then the second game's when they get all the money behind it and all the resources, and then they create something super, super amazing. But yeah, I'm certainly interested in it.
I mean, the visuals that we're seeing,
looks amazing.
They look amazing, but they're not like that in game. I mean, like, unless you have like a NASA computer.
Yeah.
Which is kind of disappointing. I mean, like, the state of my graphics for this game are nearly there, but even sort of like, people like streamers who have like Uber PCs, it's not this good looking. So, I mean, like, that's the only sort of disappointing thing about games in general.
Yeah, and on the consoles, I already know the Digital Foundry released a video. So there is a performance mode, but it does struggle to hit 60. So even the performance mode, is struggling to get 60. So you're probably not going to get that on the consoles. But it's a very beautiful game, so I'm not that shocked that the consoles can't really get it at 60. Comment in the chat saying, and he was talking about Concord. This shows that not just Sony, but Microsoft doesn't really care about the products they put out.
Well, they care, but they go for what's popular, and they just try to exploit it rather than come up with something original and unique, like Black Myth Wukong, for instance. And it's not unique in terms of like mechanics and the whole sort of like Dark Souls style gameplay.
It's the setting that's unique, isn't it?
But it's taken something which is very classic and has been done via TV shows and stuff, and it sort of grounded it in a very sort of realistic setting, I don't like it when big corporations just sort of they take something and they try to to exploit it. It annoys me, mate. It's just there's no talent behind it. It's just like gamers like this, so we'll do this, and they don't seem to realize that games like the original people who started these types of games, like maybe Fortnite and PUBG and all that kind of thing. Those are the ones that are going to stay popular and famous. But these offspring bastardizations aren't really. So.
Yeah. The next topic is, unless you want to do the topic we talked about, Pete, or do you want to do that one now?
We can do it now. All right.
Then.
So I want to talk a little bit about Jeremy Soule. This is Jeremy Soule, and he's responsible. He's a composer, and he's responsible for creating the music for games such as Elder Scrolls, Icewind Dale, Neverwinter Nights.
So he used to do the music for the BioWare games then, back in the day.
Yeah, etc., etc. He's done a whole ton of stuff, and his music is just exquisite. It's such beautiful music, and I listen to it all the time. If I want to chill out and relax, there's a channel called Enigmatic something. Shit, I should have researched it. But I'm subscribed to a channel called Enigmatic Worlds or something like that, and the YouTuber has basically compiled all the sort of relaxing Jeremy Soule music together in one video, and it's like 3 hours long. So I listen to that all the time. He's such a good composer.
Did he do Skyrim music?
Yeah.
So, okay, that's some of my favourite Skyrim. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So the problem is here,
he's a naughty boy, isn't he?
Been a bit naughty, and he's destroyed his reputation, and he's destroyed my feelings of him. He's come out as a bit of a sex pest, so not as bad as Weinstein, or allegedly Kevin Spacey, but he's up there amongst the ranks. And a lot of females have come out saying, "Oh, he's been very sort of like, inappropriate and all, etc., all that kind of stuff." And it's just really disappointing for me. I just like, I just like, really, this guy who makes such beautiful music, and he's just like a sex pest. What's wrong with visiting Mrs. Hand and her 5 lovely children, bro? Honestly, what is wrong?
Why did you have to describe it like that?
Like, just whack one out if you just like, or just go to like a brothel and just play a prostitute. Why do you have to sort of?
We ain't never getting monetized, bruv. It's only 7:30. That's great.
I don't care. Well, I do, but like, it's fine. Yeah. So we're a real channel, mate. We tell it how it is, and we're not gonna sort of beat around the bush, which is why we're trying to promote Patreon. Hint, hint, everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't like my feelings about people being destroyed, and Kevin Spacey has been destroyed for me, despite the fact that he probably, by the law's view, he didn't do anything. I suspect he probably did, and it's just like I can't really watch his films anymore.
Yeah, I
most of them.
There. Yeah, I agree with you on Kevin Spacey. Yeah.
But like with Jeremy Soule's music, it's become so good that I think it's transcended into something separate to him.
Yeah, you can still enjoy his music though, Pete. You just you can still go and.
I just got to just put him out of my mind, basically. When I do.
Just got to separate the person from the talent, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But he's not going to be scoring Elder Scrolls 6. So, I'm disappointed with that as well. And this is like, dick, why did you do that? It's just like, fuck's sake. Anyway, so that's and this is something that's come to my attention recently. But I would say it's fairly historic. He was doing this shit before and after Skyrim.
And but obviously he's been caught, so to speak, right? So when did he get caught recently?
I think so. He deleted his online social media, and I think the only thing that you can find is something on GoFundMe about a project. But I think he's pretty much deleted himself from the internet. So, yeah, his music remains, but he doesn't.
Unfortunately, stuff like that happens way more than it should. You get very talented, very great people,
Yep.
and then personally they have big issues.
It's a shame.
Yep.
But let's move on.
Okay, so we are another game that's come out recently, and it's been a little bit some positive news. Is that it's kind of not flown under the radar. I think it was anticipated, but maybe not. I think not to the levels where it's ended up being very good, and that is Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. I've heard nothing but good things, very good things about this. I don't think I've seen a particularly bad review on it. It's meant to be a mixture for people who don't know much about it. It's meant to be a mixture between God of War and Gears of War.
Right.
I obviously really like Gears of War. I haven't played God of War, but obviously God of War was a very popular game on the PlayStation. So this is set in a Warhammer 40k universe. Now, people, again, who might not know, and they might have heard of Warhammer. So Warhammer, obviously, just Warhammer is swords and sorcery, magic, ogres, Lord of the Rings kind of, you know what I mean? That's what it is.
Yeah.
Warhammer 40k is sci-fi, so it's in space, but it's got a lot of the same things. Like there's space orcs and there's Tyranids, which are basically just aliens,
Right.
and stuff like that. It's got chaos demons and stuff like that. So it's a different world to Warhammer, but there hasn't been that many successful Warhammer 40k games. So people who have been following the Warhammer 40k kind of universe has wanted good games, and the majority of them, there's a couple of exceptions, but more often than not, their games have been really bad. Big up Kuva99 in the stream. Nice to see you, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So yeah, Warhammer 40k. So this is again getting good reviews across the board, and a little bit unexpected because I don't think anyone really thought this game is going to end up being really good. So I would call that a positive. For all the negative stories that we see, this is, I think, quite a positive story. It's a game that's kind of come out of nowhere and is blowing people's expectations.
Nice.
And it is co-op as well. So if you are looking for a good co-op game, nice to see Alan in here as well in the chat. Gears of War and God of War mashed together. Sign me up. Exactly. So if you're a fan of one of those genres, or if you're a fan of both of them, this might be a really game. And I know it's quite big on the power fantasy. So you play this really powerful Ultramarine. I think the blue ones, the Ultramarine. I remember these from, I played Warhammer 40k when I was a kid. So did Alan. So I do kind of know of the universe, though I haven't dipped into it in many years. So I don't know if you ever played it, Pete, but if you...
No, I don't know much about Warhammer or 40k.
Did you ever hear of it? Because it's a tabletop game, so with like miniatures and stuff. That's what it does.
Yeah, I've heard of that. My friend Tom, he plays a lot of this kind of thing, tabletop stuff. So
yeah, so like I say, a big power fantasy game. You play a big jacked up dude, which that part probably isn't new. That part is your Gears of War, big jacked up dude. But you get waves of enemies being thrown at you, and you like I say, it's a big power fantasy thing. So that's doing really well. I've got my eye on it.
Was it released recently? Was it a recent release?
Yeah.
Right.
Very recent, a couple of weeks.
Oh, nice.
So I'll be looking at that when Black Friday, which obviously is November. You might be able to get it for a decent price. So I'll be looking out for this probably over Black Friday. And if it is co-op, then it could be a co-op game. I'll message Alan.
It looks good. The physics of the cloak of the main character look really good. There doesn't seem to be much clipping. I wonder what it was rendered in. Wonder what the engine is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks good.
Yep. So that's come out. Positive story there. The next game, not so positive, unfortunately, and that's Star Wars Outlaws. It's come out more or less the same time as Space Marine. This is obviously from Ubisoft. So when I say Ubisoft, you can probably already picture what the game is, and you're not that wrong. Like if I say to you Ubisoft open world game,
yeah,
you're going to picture Far Cry, or you're going to picture The Division, or you're going to picture Assassin's Creed. And this is set in a Star Wars universe. So that's its appeal. The reviews are mixed. I'm hearing stuff like the open world is a bit, there's not that much there, but in the cities, it does really well. So it does give you that feeling of being in a Star Wars open world, but mainly in the cities. It's
Right.
like you can ride around on your speeder bike and stuff like that. Apparently, that doesn't control that well, and apparently the actual combat is quite limited. And most of the missions involve stealth, but stealth is a bit limited. So it comes across to me for me in a very kind of a basic game, but it's not like a terrible train wreck. It's just a very basic game. Everything about the game is quite basic. The
Yeah.
combat is basic. Um, the stealth is basic. The speeder stuff is basic. There's small parts where you fly around in space, but they're a little bit like, they reminds me a little bit of like Starfield. I think the areas are slightly bigger than the Starfield areas where you just got a JPEG of a planet, Pete, if you remember Starfield, and then you got a little box you could fly around in.
Yeah, basically.
So it's slightly bigger than that, but again, there's not that much to see. So I'm interested in it because there hasn't been a very good Star Wars game that I've played in a long time. I know that Alan's in the chat and he'll probably tell me Jedi Survivor, but I didn't get into them. And I'm a little bit burnt out on a Jedi. What makes this one a little bit more unique is that, from what I've seen, there's no Jedis in it. If there is, they haven't shown any cutscenes of Jedis. So this is the closest you're going to get, at least so far, probably, to playing a Han Solo type character. Of course, it's a lady. But apparently her character isn't that bad. So apparently the characters aren't that bad in it.
Okay. Do we know where this is set?
It's set in between the films 4 and 5. So it's designed for people who like the original. So it is designed for our age group, really. It's designed for 40-year-old nerds. I'll only speak to myself, Pete. I know you're not a big Star Wars fan like I am. But the game's marketed towards 40-year-old plus nerds who grew up watching the original trilogy. It's set between films 4 and 5, so that's where its appeal is. And I think it does a good job of recapturing a game in that era. If that game was set in the prequel era, then it wouldn't be aimed for me and you and Alan, that age group. It wouldn't. It'd be aimed for people probably in their maybe 10 years, 15 years younger, who grew up on the prequels. And then, God forbid you grew up on episode 7, 8, 9, because then you've seen nothing but those terrible films. But I think it does a decent job, from what I've seen, of letting you have a little bit of a Star Wars fantasy, even if the gameplay and the mechanics are basic rather than bad, just basic.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, fine. If people like it, that's fine. You know, I don't have anything bad to say about it. I mean, like when I saw the trailer, it seemed decent. Obviously, I was sort of holding my breath and hoping that it wasn't shit, but apparently it isn't so shit.
Well,
so
because you're not a Star Wars fan, I would say there isn't really anything in it for you, because the gameplay isn't going to be enough to give you any kind. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be a fan of Star Wars to take in the stuff that the game does right.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, because the gameplay and the mechanics and everything won't do it for you. So
the only thing I have an issue with is her haircut. It's like it's probably the most pointless thing to have a ponytail where the idea of a ponytail, bruv, is to keep your hair away from.
I know I have a ponytail sometimes,
and she's just sort of ponytailed the back portion of her hair, and it's just like, isn't that sort of defeating the? Anyway, whatever.
There is one more thing I'm going to say, and I'll bring up the chat in a sec, because Kuva and Alan are talking a little bit about the Star Wars stuff. What I'll say is, you probably can't bring it up because I should have had a look for it earlier. To be honest, I should have had a look. But the character Kay, I think her name is, who is the main girl, the girl you play as, they scanned the real life model for her, and if you see how beautiful the real life model is, like we're talking 9 out of 10 across the board, right? She's absolutely stunning, and they made her uglier.
Okay, then why scan someone pretty?
No.
Why go to the bother of scanning someone pretty and then sort of
anyone watching it? I don't know. You can try googling like Kay's real life model or something like that, and you might see a picture of her. She's absolutely stunning, and they made her uglier for the character.
All right, because reasons they whacked her in the face with an
The
ugly
reason I'm
stick.
bringing it up because I thought to myself like, yeah, I thought to myself, so are you doing it? Why you're doing it? What? So that female Star Wars fans, and there is some. It's more blokes, let's be honest, but there is some females. So what are you doing? You're doing it so the females don't feel. I don't understand why you're doing that.
It so they feel maybe better and not so sort of
Well,
isolated,
they don't
or
do that to the blokes. The blokes are all like muscular and everything like that. So
well,
why?
because apparently blokes are different and women are more sensitive, which is probably anti-feminist in itself anyway. So they're trying to compensate for ugly women, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and it shouldn't really fucking matter anyway. But apparently it does. So yeah, all our heroes and heroines have to be beaten about the head with an ugly stick repeatedly until corporations are happy, I guess, when it wasn't really an issue 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, but the thing that pisses me off is like, right, so Princess Leia, right, was a sex symbol for a lot of young guys watching Star Wars. When they put her in a slave outfit in Return of the Jedi, that was done for one reason and one reason only, to have Princess Leia in more or less a bikini, to appease all the male thirsty guys who wanted to have sex with her. That's fine, but now we can't. But and then Han Solo, right? Han Solo, they didn't hire an ugly actor to play Han Solo. They hired Harrison Ford.
Mm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
No, it was different values back then, and obviously it's all changed now, where you have to represent all the groups.
what's wrong with you're allowed sex appeal in films? Why can't you have sex appeal in games?
Good point. I don't know, different medium, but still the rules should be similar. Anyway, whatever, man. It's just like, if these guys feel like they need to slap people about the face with a ugly plank, then fine. Just whatever, dude.
I'm gonna go to the chat room quickly before we get on to our next topic. Alan Priest says, already looking at prices. I bet you are, mate. Alan's also, yeah, Jedi Survivor was good. Yeah, I've got to play them still. Kuva Stain, I still dive into the Star Wars, the Old Republic, isn't it? That's the one. Star Wars. Oh, is that the MMO, isn't it, Kuva? Remind me. That's the MMO, isn't it? Star Wars: The Old Republic, I think. The storylines are pretty good. Yeah, I've heard it's not that bad. Alan Priest saying, sadly, Outlaws is not as open world as described. Every planet you visit has the same predetermined events. So did Red Dead Redemption. That's my reply to that. Red Dead Redemption 2 had the same events.
Well, there was just a shit ton of them.
I don't expect Jedi Outlaws to be anywhere near as good as Red Dead Redemption 2, but my point, I guess, is that wouldn't be why I wouldn't like the game. Because, like I say, yes, that was the case in lots of open worlds. There are certain things that only happen in certain areas.
Hmm.
Big up, Bubba K. Thanks for joining, mate. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it, mate. And Alan Priest, Humbly Gonzalez is the model. Yeah, look up Humbly. Yeah, Humbly Gonzalez is the model. Yeah, Alan sees what I see. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good.
Well, the last topic that I've got, unless Pete's got something else to say, and there's anyone in the chat who wants us to talk about a certain thing we might have missed. This one's important to me personally because I'm such a fan of the game. It might not be that important to other people, but there is 2 bits of news for it, and that is the support is ending for State of Decay 2, which you might have heard me mention is one of my favourite games. After 7 years, and it will be update 38 will be the last update for this game. Now, I won't go into why I like it so much. That probably could be its own show if I could do it. But the point is that not many games have 7 years of support for it, and they've only charged for 1 DLC that I can remember, and they've had 38 updates. And it's one of the few games, alongside like a No Man's Sky, right, which is the best example of a game that has changed so much after it came out, and there's been so much support, and they haven't charged for it. So the fact that support is ending for this after all this time, and it's not the same game it was when it first came out. But that is, they have said that the reason that they're ending support is to focus on State of Decay 3.
Makes sense.
So that means probably that they're going to be ramping up production. It doesn't mean, obviously, that it's going to be coming out in the next year. It just means that they get into the next phase now where all of their resources are going into it. I do recommend people to play State of Decay 2, but it is a zombie game, and if you've had your fix of zombie games, it probably isn't for you. But it is a survival zombie game. It is not like a Dying Light or Dead Island. It's more about a simulation. It is a simulation game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I say, 7 years, 38 updates, 1 DLC charge. I wish more companies would support their games that aren't live service games. Let me put a caveat of that aren't live service games.
And that they won't charge for each piece of,
Yeah. That a lot, and there aren't many who do it. No Man's Sky do it, State of Decay have done it. But most don't, and it just shows that they can still support games. They can still change games and balance games well after the game comes out. And I just wish more companies would probably have as much love for their games. But they're a small studio, to be honest, Pete. They're not a big studio, just like Hello Games. So maybe that's, again, it's something to be said of the smaller studios being willing to do these things, because the big boys don't get involved. The big boys don't crunch on them that much to say, okay.
Yeah, you haven't got Suits at the top sort of like looking to squeeze every last penny out of something, and this is clearly what happens when you have a studio that's entirely in control of their product. Do we know where they're at in terms of State of Decay 3?
They had some gameplay footage, didn't they? The game was not the Game Awards, the E3 replacement show.
Yeah, so hopefully that comes out soon and stuff like that. It sounds like they're really wanting this to be a good one. So yeah, fingers crossed.
A little bit more in the chat. Kuva's saying, yep, Star Wars, The Old Republic is MMO, that's right. Older game now, but still has some strong points. Yeah, I thought that was the one you want about Kuva. Yeah, the MMO. Kuva's saying, I'm always wary of games with big price tags that require live service. 7 years is good to run though. Yeah, it wasn't a live service game. It is a single player game. You can play co-op, but the co-op's rubbish, to be honest, in State of Decay 2. But no, it's just good that they supported it, and they went out of their way to make it the best game they could. And it's rare nowadays, unfortunately. It is.
Yep.
Alan's saying, this will be up your alley, Pete. Speaking of zombie games, Dead Rising Deluxe is out next week. Are you going to be getting it on release, Pete?
I'm going to have to look at my budget. It's a bit low at the moment. I'll have to talk to Alan about all this. But it's out next week, is it?
According to Alan.
Shit. Okay. All right. Alan, we'll talk. Give me a day or two. I've got so much stuff to get through. But yeah, we'll sit down. Because we are planning to do a run through of it. We'll just have to work out the logistics and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Bobby K's asking us, do you only review RPG games and is this PC? No, we do review other games, Bobby, but we'd be lying if we said that RPG wasn't our favourite genre for both of us. So obviously more games come up than not that are RPGs, because these are the games we gravitate to. But no, it's we do review sometimes games that aren't RPGs, but we both gravitate to RPGs, and we have a lot of both of our favorite games are in that genre.
Talking of role-playing games, another viewer requested that we do a review of Cyberpunk. I did explain that we have sort of mentioned it here and there, but that we do a proper sort of review on it. But I know you haven't really played it, have you?
Nope, not fired up once.
So yeah, that's in the works. We'll just sort of try and work out a way of bringing out a good review for that. So that will be coming up at some point.
Big up to Dermatron, THFC till I die. Transformers are coming back. Yes, big up, guys. Yeah, apparently they're coming.
Him and his
We're
fucking
laughing because
Transformers.
Dermatron, whenever we talk to Dermo, bless him, he always mentions Transformers. He loves it so much.
Love you, Turbo.
But apparently, yeah, they're coming back to the Xbox Live. Don't know if they're going to charge people though.
Yes, we'll wait and see for that. If they can get away with it, they probably will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big up to Kuva saying hi to Dermo, Bobby K. Cheers, thanks guys. No worries, mate. Like I say, we do cover other games, but we can't help but gravitate towards the RPGs. But to be honest, Bobby, the thing is, there's so many games fall under that now. Like every other game, it's got levels now. Have you not noticed that? It used to be that levels weren't a thing. Levels were only in RPGs, but now every other game under the sun's got levels and XP and stuff like that. So all the old RPG mechanics that used to be just for the RPG genre, more or less, it's in nearly every genre now.
That along with microtransactions and
yeah,
you know, stuff like that, which it kind of gets on my nerves because sometimes I can't help myself. Magic the Gathering, I'm looking at you, bitch.
Yeah, P had a nice rant last week on that, didn't you? If you haven't seen it, check it out. He goes in pretty hard on them.
Oh, fuck's sake, yeah.
And Com saying here he's heard some chatter that PT is in the works again. What with Kojima? You mean the old Konami? Do you remember PT, Pete? Remember the
Yeah, it was a Silent Hill sort of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just you walking down like a kind of corridor, I suppose.
Yeah, which is genius, and so many people copied it since. It's just like the same sort of corridor in a house, but it changes every time.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit genius, and I did like that. So if it's back in production, then maybe Kojima has kind of settled things
with Konami.
Yeah. Yeah, fingers crossed.
I'm not sure if that's possible. You know, he's still inside Jeff Keighley's butt crack.
Well, he's still inside Death Stranding, isn't he? But isn't there something else that he's doing, or have I missed?
Oh no, don't you remember he had that preview thing where they did? He's got the girl from It in it. Do you not remember they did the thing?
Oh yes.
But nobody really knows what it's about, but I can't remember. He talked about it for half an hour on the show, if you remember.
Yeah, he's always ambiguous. Whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, do you have anything else you want to chat about this week, Pete? Anything you've seen? No.
No, I just like to say bumhole. Really, I just feel like saying bumholes. So
yeah. That's where Kojima is in Jeff Keighley's bumhole.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've been through a rough patch recently.
Yeah.
I've had some bad shit going on, but yeah, I will sort of return my focus to the channel and we'll get this Dead Rising stuff sorted out, and we'll do stuff.
We still need to do our next Stellaris episode because I was getting my bumhole kicked. I remember.
Oh yes. I remember. Yes, we must continue that. I feel like we might be towards the end. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I might be towards the end.
Yeah. And we'll probably stop if one of us dies as a civilization, but we'll see what happens beyond that. So yes.
Not over yet. I'm not over yet. Nope. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Pete, do you want to send us out?
Yes.
Things you like to say about the words we can't use.
Yes. If you like our channel, you know what to do. Please like, subscribe, slap the notification bell around the face, and punch that thumbs up button. And yes, we have a Patreon channel which enables us to speak more freely. It allows us to say words like fuck, shit, cunt, bollocks, abuse, and I don't know. I can't think of anything else. Bellend, fuckwad, and all that kind of banned words that YouTube doesn't like. Twat is a good one. Yeah. So. Oh yes, I just very briefly. I have actually been enjoying watching the casting of Frank Stone. And there's a character in there called it's Jamie, but it's pronounced Jaime because it's like Jaime, and it's like apparently you're supposed to say it as Jaime, but Jaime. I don't like that because it's too close to saying Hyman. So yeah, I won't bother doing that. But yeah, no, it's a good game.
Isn't it the same name as the girl out of Harry Potter? A similar name.
No, that's Hermione.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, bit different. Close, but a bit different. Yeah, so if you like movie games like Dark Pictures, Man of Medan, and Until Dawn and stuff, yeah, Casting of Frank Stone is fairly decent. So yeah, it's the same guys who make Until Daylight or something like that.
Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight, that's the one. And yeah, probably introducing a new monster and stuff like that. So yeah. All right.
Okay.
Cool, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.
Yeah.